What's up everybody, we are Diana and Phil. Diana here is from the United States and I, Phil, am from Germany. And in this video we're going to talk about college and university differences between the US and Germany.
Quick disclaimer, these are based on our observations and experiences. Differences are not a negative thing. This is supposed to be lighthearted and fun, so don't take it too seriously.
So we're going to talk about a little bit of technical differences and later on go into the social life and stuff like that. But with that being said, our first point is going to be different types of colleges.
So in the US, there are so many different types of colleges / universities. You can go to a community college, junior college. There are liberal arts colleges, private versus public. There are women's versus men colleges and universities, historically all black colleges and universities. There are just so many. So in the US, we normally say college just as an umbrella for everything. Even if you went to a university, we'll just still say college. There are differences in a college and university in the US, usually size, what programs they offer, but we just say college for everything.
Okay, so for me that's a little bit confusing, and in Germany we really have two big ones, the university and the Fachhochschule, which could be translated to college. And just for the sake of this video, I'm gonna use college as an umbrella term as well. In the past, the degrees from the university were considered a little higher than the ones from the Fachhochschule, the college. However, I think that's changing and it's really up for the interpretation of your former employer, because the college version is a little more real world oriented than university, which tends to be more theoretical. Nowadays, they might even consider the one from the college better because it's more real world application than the university one.
Interesting.
We also have a third type. It's the private university or private college, and but those are very small percentage in Germany. Out of my head, I would guess around maybe 5% of all the students go to a private one. The big two are the university and the college, the Fachhochschule.
Fachhochschule.
Alright, point number 2 is gonna be deciding for a college and the applications.
Yes. So in the US, certain colleges and universities are better than others and some can be more expensive. But for the most part, when you're applying for a bachelor's or associate's degree, you will take all your high school GPA and you'll make a resume and take your SAT scores and your ACT scores and write essays and stuff like that and then apply to college. And some colleges and universities have more intensive applications than others. Also, when you apply for a master's or a PhD, it tends to be different. They'll look at your undergraduate bachelor's degree stuff and not high school anymore. And it usually costs money per application. It could be like $25 to like $150, I'm not sure.
And you're not talking about the actual cost for you to send that stuff? They get a fee,
yeah,
right?
they charge you a fee when you apply of some sort. You can usually get this waived based on your income level, but yes, there is a fee.
So in Germany it's a little bit different. The only thing that you really need is to be eligible for studying. That means you have to come from the type A high school. You have to graduate from that, the gymnasium. The gymnasium, we talked about that in our high school video.
Yeah.
And when you pass that, you're automatically eligible to apply to universities and colleges around the country. And you basically send them a little resume with a cover letter, your grades and stuff, and some are harder to get into.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they apply, especially because it's unknown whether they'll get in or not, some of it can be super competitive, so people tend to apply to multiple or a few that they'll at least know they will get into.
True.
Is it the same in Germany?
Yeah, for example, if you want to study law, there might be a grade barrier. You have to be above, I don't know what it is, it might be like 2.1 or whatever, and you graduated with a 2.3, then you have to wait or you can't get in.
For any American watching, that sounds super low, but the German high school GPA scale is different than...
Yeah, 1 is the best, 6 is the lowest.
Just watch the other video.
If you come from school and you are applying to universities or colleges, it's usually more about deciding which city you want to live in. There might be slightly better reputations within the university landscape for certain colleges and some faculties, some business degrees from that city might be considered a little higher.
In the US, there are also certain schools that are known to be better for certain programs. There's rankings for everything. If you want to go into architecture, there's the top architecture schools.
Yeah.
They're more competitive that way.
Point number 3 is gonna be the costs of college and universities.
Oh my goodness, in the US, college is freaking expensive. I just did a quick Google, you can look it up if you're really interested in it, but based on this website I found, it says the average cost per year, not including room and board, the average in-state is $10,000 per year, the average out-of-state is $23,000 per year, and the average private is $37,000 per year.
What is in and out of state?
So based on the high school that you went to and where you graduated from, that's in-state versus out-of-state.
And you just have to pay more if you go to another state?
Yeah, if you go outside of your home state, that's more.
That's weird. That sounds freaking expensive, to be honest.
Yeah, it can add up. It's very expensive. There are a lot of scholarships that you can apply for, academics or athletics, and a lot of other options too, but it is overall very expensive. I remember when I was deciding on colleges, I was debating over Virginia Tech for architecture or staying in-state and going to the University of South Carolina. I think I had just applied under mathematics. I didn't really want to stay in-state, but at the end of the day, I ended up staying in-state because of how expensive it was. It's just way too expensive to go out of state.
Wow, that's interesting because I feel like for us, college is like the first time you move out. It's the first time you go out of your normal environment and you have the entire country is open to you. That makes it more expensive just the further you go away.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all. That's pretty interesting.
Well, I mean, the state of South Carolina, I still went like 2 hours away, but it was just cheaper.
All right, and in Germany, the big thing is it is basically free. Education is free, at least for the big two, the universities and the colleges. There are no tuition fees. Of course, I'm not talking about cost of living on the side, whatever you eat, wherever you live, that costs money, and you have to pay for books, but there's no college tuition. So it doesn't matter what social status you have, how much money your parents have. If you are smart enough, if you are eligible and you apply and you get accepted, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can get the best education you can get, as many PhDs or whatever, as long as you're able to. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. I mean, obviously it's paid through other ways, but I think it's great that if you're smart enough and you're hardworking, you can get a good education and not have to worry about the financial repercussions of it.
So the biggest expense for college students basically is rent, I would guess, aside from maybe partying. But most of the German college students just live in private but shared apartments, so not on campus. There is some student housing and a small amount of the students live there, but most of them live somewhere in the city, in the surroundings of the university, in usually shared apartments.
Interesting. So in the US, you tend to stay on campus your freshman year. Obviously, it depends on each college and where it's located, but you live in this little room with another person in there.
That's where all the college movies happen.
It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Especially if you're randomly assigned and you don't know someone going into college, which was me, and getting randomly assigned to a roommate.
Dude, that's every freaking American Pie college movie when they have to move in and the parents are with them and they drop them off and hey, I'm your new roommate.
Yeah, like,
and it's so cool. That's so foreign as a German. That's so foreign to us.
Usually after freshman year, a lot of people stay off of campus or in a different type of student housing, but it's actually emerged a completely separate market, student housing apartments, that have kind of come up because of this now, and it's usually discounted apartments but all shared. It's created for college students. So interesting.
All right, there's also the third type, the private colleges, and those are way more expensive in Germany. The big difference is they have a tuition, and I think they start around $7,000 to $8,000 a year, which is apparently still cheaper than the US universities. But for German comparisons, that's super expensive. Those colleges kind of have the reputation that you buy your degree because they're usually a little easier to get into because you pay them so much money.
Makes sense.
So it's a little bit this reputation that the kids of like well-off parents go there, the little dumbasses. And
can't say that.
But to be honest, they are marketed to be better than the actual universities because they have smaller class sizes and the students can get more attention and help, and it's more individual. You just pay for more attention and your way in a little bit. So it's a little bit different, but as I said before, it's only a very small percentage that go to these schools.
Point number 4, and the most important, food on and off campus.
All right, so most universities in Germany, at least what I'm familiar with, they have a food court called the Mensa, where all the students and the staff of the faculties can go and get food. And usually they are pretty nice. My experience is limited. I just went to a handful. For example, in Göttingen, where I lived most of my life, there's an amazing food court at the university and they offer so many different things, mostly healthy foods like German foods to always having pasta, Italian stuff, some Asian stuff, very different cuisines, and you can choose from a variety every day and it changes and it's just amazing, and you can get it at pretty low prices. It's always discounted for the students, like 2 to 3 to 4 euros for a good meal. And I think it's a great option for German students just to get decent food for a good price.
Oh, that's interesting. We have a building usually on campus too that has a food court kind of thing. There is like school food, and usually it's not the most tasty, to be honest. There'll be like some pizza or some hot meal of the day and then a salad bar, but it was a good option for students. And then there would always be, or usually be, some type of fast food court. So they'd have like Chick-fil-A at ours, Pizza Hut, Burger King, some chicken place.
That blew my mind.
There's a froyo place, and I think they're starting to do vegan places now too.
On campus, right?
On campus, in the same building that all the students go to.
That's amazing. That blew my mind. I think it's great to have, but it's also easy to get overweight.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, a lot of students have the classic off-campus student food, which we lived off of, like ramen noodles, canned tuna, boxed mac and cheese, boxed pasta, so like spaghetti or something. I think I personally lived off of canned tuna fish sandwiches, boxed mac and cheese, and I really liked boxed mashed potatoes. It's kind of gross sounding, but you know, when you're on a budget, what can you do?
Yeah. So aside from the big food court at the German universities, they have usually smaller cafeterias somewhere where you can always get bakery goods. That's so German, like a bakery
That is so German.
Or like a bread roll with something on it. Yeah, but at home, same thing. The German students have the reputation, they live off pasta and frozen pizza, like spaghetti because it's cheap, pasta and frozen pizza. That's the stereotype of the German student.
That's the same in the US too. Frozen cheap foods.
I just wanted to take a quick moment to say, if you like this kind of video or if you want to see more of those, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. I can see that about 90% of our viewers are not subscribed to this channel, so if you subscribe, that would help us out a lot. If you want to further support us, we also have a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/DeANA&Phil, and you can support us there as well.
We have 4 different tiers with different benefits, and supporting us on Patreon really helps us make videos like these and continue to run this channel.
Yeah, so every help is highly, highly appreciated.
Yes.
Back to the video. Point number 5 is gonna be deciding on a major. And what's a major?
So in the US, the major is usually a focus, and you get a degree in the Bachelor of Science or the Bachelor of Arts, and the major is the focus, so like English or chemistry or economics. Not every school offers crazy majors, but a lot of schools have started to offer a wide selection of majors because it's pretty much a business in the US. And I just did a quick Google search on the weirdest majors that you can get a 4-year degree in, a bachelor's degree in, and it's like fermented sciences, roller coaster engineering, nannying.
I don't understand that. You can get a bachelor in nannying?
According to the internet. I'm not sure. Has anyone ever gotten a bachelor's in nannying? Let me know.
So they're just making up majors?
Yeah, pretty much, because they're just getting your money and it's a business.
All right, so in Germany, I think if you come from high school and you apply for a university or college, you already choose your major, your faculty. I would call it faculty. You either apply to like law, you apply to business administration, you apply to medicine to become a doctor, or engineering, and then you get accepted and then you're in that field already.
Yeah.
And usually nowadays it's a bachelor master's program, one after the other. The bachelor usually takes only 3 years. You can extend it for half a year or a year, something like that. You just need to collect your credits, pass the exams. It's very straightforward, and it's basically very, very similar structures throughout all the universities in the country. And then a master after that is kind of like the specialization. If you study business administration with a master, you probably go deeper into one field within business administration, for example, IT, controlling, marketing or sales, something like that.
It is the same in the US. When you apply to schools, you apply under a certain major, and you usually work with that program and get those credits for that. Like for example, I remember being 17, 18 years old, applying to schools and being so overwhelmed because I applied under all architecture. But like a year later, when I was actually in school, I didn't want to major in architecture. So I changed it to the business school, and I ended up doing a double major in finance and economics. But it was still under the business umbrella that you're talking about.
Ah, okay. So it sounds more similar than I thought. But the architecture thing, was that under the business umbrella?
No, that was a separate umbrella.
So did you have to apply completely like again? Or was it easier to switch once you're in that college?
I think I had to apply again, actually. No, I didn't fully apply again, but I had to go to the office and transfer everything and see if they would let me transfer. I feel like it's weird how the US offers so many random majors, but to be honest, I wish with each major that they offered some type of like ROI label, return on investment, because if I went back, I would totally major in art, but financially, I would never be able to pay off those student loans as an artist. For me, I can't see that. So that's why I went into the major that I did, and I feel like it's just kind of ridiculous, and it's a little scammy as a university to offer these fermented sciences when really it might take 20 years to pay off that student loan.
Yeah, so in Germany, since it's for free, the major difference is probably deciding on a major is not influencing your financial future as much. Like, you get different paid jobs, but when we come out of university or college, we're not deeply in debt, and that is usually the case in the US, right?
I think the average student loan debt is like 20,000. I don't know. I'll put the average here, but it's crazy how expensive it is and how much debt you walk out with. And you're paying off your debt for years. It's like a full mortgage.
Yeah. If you come out and you are 50,000 deep in debt, that sucks.
So for me, personally, I couldn't justify majoring in something that I really enjoyed because of how much it would cost later on.
Yeah, so I see what your point is. Your point is you are more forced to major, to focus on a field that is well paid afterwards because you're that high in debt.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's a little bit of that factor too, because you just get better paid jobs if you study law or business administration than when you study something funny, art related. So in long term, yeah, you're just better off if you study something in certain directions. And point number 6 is gonna be the social life and partying.
In the US, I think because the drinking age isn't until 21, people go ham in college. There's no parents, there's easy access to parties, easy access to booze. It's a free-for-all. There's also a lot of fraternities and sororities that you can be a part of if you want to, and they tend to throw a lot of parties and social events as well. Especially in the southeast of the US, the biggest thing is American football and tailgating.
Isn't tailgating driving closely behind another car?
Yes, that is tailgating as well. And that's maybe what it's referring to, because everyone parks their cars so closely together and you post up, you have TVs, you have tables for beer pong and all these fun games.
In a parking lot?
In the parking lot right outside of the stadium. And you get hammered before you go into the game and watch the football game. It's something that I think a lot of students, especially in the Southeast, do, and it's a lot of fun. I feel like you should try it one day.
Yeah,
we should go tailgate.
It's weird, like this football thing with tailgating, that's so not German. However, partying and the social life, that's where my strong suit lied during college. And I think the college time is probably the best time of everybody's life, because it's the first time you move out of your home, and the Germans already know how to party when they enter college, because we start early. You're allowed to drink.
12.
Yeah, I started at 13, no crap. So people start maybe around 15, 16 nowadays. You're legally allowed to drink at 16 beer and stuff, and then 18 alcohol.
Crazy.
So partying is a big thing in college, at least it was. The good thing is in university, a lot of times you don't have to get up early, so there was a lot of student partying during the week, but of course also on the weekends. For example, in my town, Göttingen, there was always Wednesday, was the student party night. And you can go to bars, to clubs, and it's either just for students and you have to show your student ID to get in at all, or at least it's heavily discounted. For example, you go to a bar and the beer on Wednesday for students is just €2 per pint. Or you get discounted drinks, all of that good stuff. It's all catered, a whole party world in the city catered for students. And I'm not talking just about campus, I'm talking about citywide venues. Like, I went probably every Wednesday, Friday and Saturday partying. Partying is the biggest and best part of college.
In my area, at least in school, we would call it Thirsty Thursdays. A lot of the bars would either have events too and discounts, but we couldn't advertise it to students because we weren't allowed to drink. Only upperclassmen were allowed to drink.
Oh, that's a big difference. Everything is catered to students.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I can't imagine going to school and being able to drink legally as a freshman. That would be crazy. We still have a lot of the parties too. We have these house parties and stuff like that.
Even in high school, we get legally hammered once a week.
Wow.
Also, I think if you are studying right now in university, let me know. I think there's kind of this development. More and more clubs are shutting down in Germany.
Yeah.
I think people think that social media is the main cause for that, but it just seems like that college students party less than they did in the past. So if you are currently in college or university in the US or Germany, let us know. Is partying still a huge thing, or is it just for the old people? And our last point, number 7, is gonna be extracurricular activities and sports.
Yes, so in the US, or at least at the school that I went to, it was a very big university and they offered so many different types of sports. You could do water polo, equestrian, football, soccer, baseball, swimming, track, everything. There were so many university team sports.
So what you mean is there are official teams of that university where you can apply for it?
Yes, and you compete with other universities as well.
Wow.
But they also had clubs where, as a student, you could make your own group. And they had a Quidditch team, which Phil doesn't really watch Harry Potter. So for those of you who don't know, Quidditch is the sport that they played in Harry Potter on broomsticks. So literally on campus, people are running around on broomsticks, throwing a quaffle. It's great. But the difference is you can get a scholarship if you're on a university team. There's a lot of athletic scholarships offered. So a lot of the football players, soccer players, whatever, would be on full scholarships sometime or part scholarships to pay for their tuition.
Yeah, I heard that college football is a huge thing in America, right?
Yes, because
they're like almost stars in the making.
Oh, totally. It's a huge moneymaker for the college or university themselves. There's a huge controversy on whether college football players should get paid or not.
It's on television, right?
Yeah, it's televised. People tailgate for it. It's everything.
It's the stepping stone to the NFL, basically, right?
Yes, a lot of people get drafted and recruited
Imagine
from that.
It's the way to become a professional athlete.
Yeah, it's the advertising stepping stone, so your name is out there. Yeah, it's very different. So in Germany, is that a thing?
It's not a thing at all. Like, one thing German universities and colleges do, they offer a better selection of extracurricular activities that you can do in comparison to high school. But that's what it is. It's extracurricular activities. It's not that much integrated in the college system.
Yeah.
So they usually have facilities that are just for the college students and the staff, like gyms, rock climbing centers, football fields, soccer fields, and you can use that. But it's mostly going to be clubs that are going to use that. So there's barely ever an official team in sport X and they compete against others, and it is absolutely not a big thing. So if you want to be an athlete and go to the higher leagues, become a professional, college has really nothing to do with it. It's more separated between the academics. We go to university for the academics, and you do your sports and stay fit on the side. And if you want to go into that field, you do that privately and hopefully make it up there somehow.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, I know a lot of football players, if they do get drafted, they have to make the decision, do I want to finish my degree or go to the NFL, because there's a small window of your prime, you know? So it's interesting. In the US, they also offer a lot of extracurricular non-sport activities. Like you can do the Chinese club, the honor society, there are a lot of other different clubs that you can join too that are not athletics based. Yeah,
that's kind of similar. We have that too. There's a lot of stuff that's being offered. And I think it's great because it's the first time the German young adult has the option to do all these different things.
Yeah.
Whereas in high school, you're very limited to that depending on where you grow up. I think it's great to have a lot of extracurricular activities. But I really, really am still envious about the US with the emphasis on sports. I still think Americans are a little more competitive or used to competitiveness than the average German is.
Maybe. Overall, it was interesting to talk about our similarities, yet also some of our differences between our college experiences and just colleges in Germany and the US.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below how your college or university experience was like and where you went to college.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear about other people's experiences as well.
Anyway, this is gonna be it for this video. As always,
thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.